Hello. Oh. Okay. Let's kick some ass. Come on. Yeah. Okay. How to do kick-ass software development. So actually, who's here to expect to see some code? Really? Here at my talk. This is the only code you will see in my talk. You may leave. Who's here to expect to see to learn some new methodology? Really? Well, let me tell you one thing. There is no KickAss Manifesto, and at the end of the talk, you will not get certified as a certified kick-ass kicker or something like that. That's not happening. Who's here just to kick some ass? Yay! This is your freaking talk. Right. And yes, that's me wearing a mask, but I thought it would be a little bit too hot to wear the mask here on stage. So, how do you do kick-ass software development? One thing, use Java. Thank you and goodbye. Oh, it's not so important if you use Java, Groovy, Ruby, maybe PHP. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm Sven. I'm working as an ambassador for Atlassian. Tweet me at SvenPet, and svenpet.com is my weblog. So I'm traveling around doing kick-ass talks all over Europe. So what we want to achieve in software development looks a little bit like this. We want better software, less overhead, faster development, happier customer and happy developer. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would tell you, you can reach all this with being agile. Really, just come out of your waterfall process and start doing some agile things. But actually, what's the state of agile in 2013? Well, there's a lot of renting actually going on with agile. So, the diabolic developer compiles equals ship it. Is Martin here in the room? Oh, hi. So it's awesome. It's great. Does that really value the customer? Nah. Or the guys from the Dark Manifesto of Agile software, they are saying something like individuals and interactions and not process and tools. So they are replacing some words in the Agile Manifesto. Or the programming motherfucker guys who replace all the sentences in the Agile Manifesto with programming motherfucker. Awesome. Do you speak it? So the question is Agile dead? Is it dead? Should we come up with something more, something better, something leave Agile behind us? Well, me and the Dark Manifesto, Agile Software Manifesto guys, they came up with this. Agile is following also the Gartner hype curve. We have a peak and then it's going down, and it looks like we're getting more mature with Agile. We're learning a lot of stuff. We're learning what's cool and what's not cool with Agile. So it looks like we are on the way a little bit down to know Agile a little bit better. So, but really, instead of renting, we should really getting real and kick ass again. We should concentrate on kicking ass again and not always rant about Agile stuff. So, here are four topics I'm going to cover here. Delivering kick-ass software, one kick-ass team, how you collaborate together, and kick-ass automation. So these are my ass-kicking topics. And we start with number one, and this is delivering kick-ass software. So, but how do we know that we deliver kick-ass software? How do we know that? Well, actually, if your customer looks like this, well, not exactly like this, but if he smiles like this, you pretty much know that you're delivering kick-ass software. You know that you're doing a great job delivering great software for your customers. So how do we know that we build the right thing? Actually, how do we know that? Like Microsoft built the Microsoft Kin. Does anybody know the Microsoft Kin in the audience? Oh, a few. Yeah, I didn't know that. I just Googled for software failures, and this one came up. So, yeah. So it was a totally cool idea from Microsoft. They had this social smartphone for the Facebook and Twitter guys, and they thought it was awesome. So they released it, I think 2 years ago. They released it. They had a big release party, invested a lot of money, and after 44 days, they stopped it again. So it was a big disaster. They invested a lot of things. So they were not building the right thing, and they didn't know that. Otherwise, they would have stopped before. But how do we know that we built the right thing before we built the right thing? This is the question. And I tell you one thing, fake it till you make it. We should totally fake the software. Why building it? Why investing so much time building it and making it perfect? We should fake it before. Like IBM did in this experiment. It's decades ago. They did a speech-to-text experiment where they put up a microphone and a monitor, and everything that was said was showing up in text on the monitor. So they did this actually for secretaries, and they tried it out. And they didn't really build a prototype, but it was working because they had a fast typing person sitting there, typing fast behind a curtain, and it looked perfectly. And they found out that the time was not right for this. They didn't build anything on that. So they found out people don't want to have that. And that's cool. They just faked it. They didn't invest a lot of money. And actually, even one step before that, we're doing at Atlassian. We're doing something we call paper prototypes. It's a cheap way to just test your ideas. So we meet in a 1.5 hour session, come up with 16 cool designs, put it on paper, have a scissor glue, and build our paper prototype. And then we try it out. And out of this, and it looks something like this. I found this on YouTube. Very easy, very cheap. And out of this 16 ideas, we probably throw away 14 because we see it doesn't really work out. So this is how it goes. And this is pretty awesome because you're not connected to the idea. You haven't invested a lot of time in your idea. So this is pretty awesome thing. So let's assume we have our idea and we have built our software, and now we want to improve it. And the lean startup guys tells us, yeah, we should continuously improve our software, continuously getting better. So we put up a minimum viable product and trying to test our software and trying to improve our software. But where should we improve it? How do we know where to improve it? We know that through feedback. And actually, you should collect feedback more and generate a kick-ass feedback experience. A cool experience for the user that they want to submit feedback. That's the thing. So here are 3 tips how you generate a kick-ass feedback experience. And thing number 1 is make it easy to find. This is the London Heathrow Airport, and if you go through the security, you have this thing where you can say, okay, I like it, I don't like it, the security experience. It's very easy to find, and make it simple. 4 buttons, that's very simple, and a little bit fun can turn, so a little bit smileys, that's cool. So how does it look in software? So what we did in the Greenhopper team, when we launched a new board in Greenhopper, we wanted to have feedback, and as much feedback as we could have. So we really wanted to have this feedback. And what we did is we put this up on the toolbar, just on top of it, and collected feedback. So it was easy to find for people. So and if you press on that, it's a very simple form where you can say things, and it's a little bit fun with some smileys. So you just fill it out, and very, very simple, and boom, you get your feedback. And actually, we tripled our feedback through doing that. So we got a lot of feedback all of a sudden for our new Greenhopper version. And this is awesome. We wanted to know what people think about it. So we could continuously improve and make the product better. So now you actually get the problems that you get a lot of feedback all of a sudden. So how do you code with this amount of feedback? And then, of course, you want to actually protect your developer from all this feedback. Isn't that true? They should develop the software. They shouldn't spend time reading feedback. They should develop the software. So like Google actually came up with this umbrella. So this is actually what they're doing for the Gmail team, where they have 425 million users, Gmail users, and just 100 developers. And if the developers have to code with all this feedback, they wouldn't develop a thing. So they have this umbrella where the PMs, the product management is taking all this feedback and putting it into backlog or throwing it away. This is how Google, the Gmail team, does it. It's great, isn't it? As developer, it protects us. We can develop software, but actually, we're not Gmail. At Atlassian, we don't have 425 million users and just 100 developers. No. Every developer has to know what's going on in the field. So actually, everyone has to go on the front line at Atlassian. Everybody has to know what's going on with the customer, what bugs them, what problems do they have in the real life. So this is very, very important for us to know that, and also that our developers know that they know what they're building. And we want to actually close the feedback loop and get personal. So what the Greenhopper team did when they had all this feedback, they did a daily meeting, a daily 45 minutes meeting, where they went through all the feedback items and answered them personally. And this is the cool thing if you get personal. It's that when you get an answer from a developer, the customer accepts this much, much better, even if we push back on things and say, oh, no, sorry, this is not on our roadmap, we won't do that. Customer accepts this much, much better if it comes from a developer, because they know they reach the right person in the organization. So try to close the feedback loop, no middleman, just directly to the developers that they know what's going on in the field. And then we are sending developers on support. So 1 week a year, every developer has to go on support. So they're sitting there for 1 week with a support person, answering support cases. They're debugging the software together with somebody from support. They're doing brown bags to explain the support, how the development is working. And if they come back later to the development, they can say to the team what's going on in support, what problems our customers actually have. So, delivering KickAss software. KickAss developers care about customer needs by having an effective feedback loop. So this is very important. Next, we want to work as one KickAss team, and the support thing, the developer on support program, helps us doing that, because we're bringing the company together again. I mean, we have a support department and we have a development department, but we want to actually that they work together. We want to bring them together. They should know what's happening in the other department. And this is what I also want to say with one KickAss team. In some companies, there's happening this. You have testers and developers, and they have different roles and different responsibilities. But what seems to be natural, that there are specialists that develop things and there are specialists for testing things, what seems natural is actually a big, big problem. And here's 3 things why I think it's a problem. You can run easily into bottlenecks. I mean, if we throw things over the wall to QA, well, and just in front of a release, they have a lot of things to do, and we create bottlenecks there. So this is really bad, and we lose accountability. The developers don't feel connected to the quality anymore. They say, okay, it's got to test it by testers. So this is really bad thing, and this is the most bad thing, because they should be accountable for what they are doing. And then you get scalability problems. If you scale your development team, you also have to scale your testers. And we had this as Atlassian. A few years ago, we thought we don't need testers because we're doing automated tests. So we automated all our tests and thought it was happy. We were very happy and we were good and we had a good quality. But it turns out that people came and said, oh, there are still bugs in your software, and said, it can't be. So maybe we hired a QA person to find that out. And they came back to us and said, yeah, automated tests can catch a lot of things, but sometimes you have to do also manual tests. You have to manual test your software. And this really doesn't scale if we all manual test it. So they came up with a program we called Developers on Test, or DOT. And actually, our developers are testing our software. So the task, it's actually part of the development cycle, that the task that is done by one developer is tested by another developer. This is developers and test, this is dotting. Does that actually mean that our developers are doing now all the work? Yeah, kind of. They're doing a lot of work. But QA at Atlassian doesn't mean quality assurance, it means quality assistance. So they are helping the developers to test. They are helping them to generate test data and having new test strategies. All this stuff is doing our quality assistance department. So here are actually 6 tips for KickAss dotting. How we call it at Atlassian, we call it dotting as a verb. So 6 tips for KickAss dotting. The first thing is, of course, you should train your developers. You should send them on trainings that they know how to test, that they learn how to test. They are not testers by natural. You should train them. So our QA department is doing that. They are training our developers and tell them something about test theory. But more than theoretical training is better that they pair. They sit together, and then the developer is testing, and the QA person sits next to the developer and saying, okay, yeah, if I would be you, I would test more into that direction because that makes more sense. So they learn by training and testing. If you're up to that, have done that 3 months or something like that, you can try to play around with it. And this is the more advanced dotting. It's split sessions, where you take the same task, the same user story, and let them test one time from a developer and the other time from a tester. And after half an hour, or how long it will take, they come together again and compare the results, and then discuss why one came up with more bugs. So this is split testing, and it's a little bit gamification in there, a little bit competition. That's fun. What our testers have now time for is writing test recipes. So they take the user story and write a test recipe and put it together with the user story. If the user story is done and has to be tested, the developer takes a test recipe and goes step by step through the test recipe. Another thing we're doing, so number 5, will be blitz test. Blitz tests are 90-minute sessions where we invite the whole company to test maybe 3 or 4 new features of our software. So we invite the whole company and test the hell out of our software. And that works pretty well. We sit there for 90 minutes, and then afterwards the QA is removing duplicates and all this stuff and giving the feedback back to the developers. And we are currently also experimenting a little bit with bug hunters. So special people in the team that hunts for bugs. So for 1 week, one developer gets a task. Now you're also the bug hunter of the week. So please find some more bugs in our software. So they take the newest features and test for bugs. Actually, quality is everybody's responsibility at Atlassian. It's not just the QA responsibility. Everybody is responsible for quality at Atlassian. So how did it go, dotting? We had a 36% failure rate. So if every issue that we said was fixed, 36% came back and it wasn't really fixed. And we got this down now to 6%. That's when we introduced dotting. So people are more accountable now for quality. And our ratio testers to developers are, so developers to testers are 13:1. So 13 developers and 1 tester. And we don't want to have more. We think this is a perfect ratio to let the developers still be accountable for what they're doing. Okay, let's have a look at Atlassian and Designer. It's quite the same story. So for a long time at Atlassian, we had no designers. We had developers with design skills that said they can design. And it looked pretty good for us. We are all developers, so it looked pretty good to us. So we had the question, why should we have designers? But then the customer came back and said, oh, your software looks a little bit doesn't really look very, very modern, and it's not very consistent, your design. And we said, what? So we hired one designer, and he actually took a look at drop-down menus in our software. And he found that. So, well, there should be one user experience with one drop-down menu. He found that in our software, so a lot of drop-down menus, everything worked differently a little bit. So, yeah. So the question, why should we have designers? We answered ourselves, yeah, we should have designers to help us a little bit with that. And now actually we have 12 designers at Atlassian. So 12 designers for all our products. What means 250 engineers are using the design. 600 people at Atlassian using them on a daily basis because we dog food. 2,000 ecosystem developers are doing plugins, so they're using the design from the 12 designers. We have 23,000 customers with a few million users that are using our design on a daily basis from our 12 designers, and we are influencing them because they are building software too, and that's many, many million users, including my mom, from our 12 designers influenced. So, yeah, it sounds a little bit scary. So we were actually looking for something that scales in that direction. And we know we had some brilliant designers amongst our developers. So why not crowdsource the design a little bit? So we invited them, the talents we saw in Atlassian, to do design workshops and teach them design. So whenever there's a task for a small design, this satellite developers, designers, they can take it and do it. And actually our 12 designers care more about the overall design, so they had time writing design guidelines. And if we need a button, we take it from the design guidelines. If we have to manipulate just a few pixels, we're doing it ourselves at Atlassian. So actually, this is what we came up with. Developers are also designers at Atlassian, so one kick-ass team. But we didn't stop there, because all our designers were also a little bit unhappy, because they saw they have this friction. So they live in Photoshop and Illustrator, and they hand over the design to the developers, and the developers are putting it into code, the design. But that really adds friction, because every time you hand over something, there's friction. So why not just having not developers are already designers, but also designers doing development. They can change things. They can change CSS files. They can change JavaScript. And they are actually designers in code. So we're doing pull requests. So we are pretty happy that the code quality is awesome. So some of our designers are also happy with just changing the code and getting things done. Kick-ass. So kick-ass developers work together as one team. There's no different departments. There's one team. We want to have a kick-ass software, and we want to have one kick-ass team at Atlassian. So how do we work now happily together? So where we work together as developers is, of course, on code. So we have this, you remember that time when you were the only one on the code base, being the lonesome cowboy coder where you actually commit code. Nope, nothing has changed in between because you're the only committer. It's great, and you have awesome code quality because you just wrote the code. Of course, the code quality is awesome. And you know the whole code base because you just wrote all the code. Life was great. So, but actually the trouble starts with the team. When we have multiple changes and we have to merge the multiple changes somehow, if the code base changes, if I'm working not for half a year in this part of the code base, I totally lose control over what's going on. If I come back half a year later, I have no idea. So, and the code quality differs because different developers have different code qualities. So actually what companies are doing to prevent that is they're doing that. A process around a process around a process, to make sure everything is fine, the code quality is good, and this really makes things hard. So we want to actually kick ass. So we want a fast and simple workflow for parallel coding. We want coding concurrency in practice, actually. So how do we do that? So the Stash team, our Git repository management for enterprise development team, they doing actually branching, using branches very heavily. They use Git and Mercurial, and they're doing actually a branch for every task, not every feature, just every task they are branching. And these branches are short-living. That makes the merging more easy. I mean, DVCS make the merging more easy, but actually also if you have short branches, that makes merging more easy. So these branches have short lives, from about average of 2 days as a branch life. And how do we make now? This is a simple, very simple workflow. But how do we say the code quality should be the same? So they are using pull request. And this really can improve your code quality. The pull request is if I have a branch and I ask somebody to merge the changes back, so please review these changes so they can add comments, discuss the code, and then merge the changes back. This is what code pull requests are all about. So you ask people, what do you think about my code changes? And this really can improve your code quality because a lot of people are looking now over your code and improve your code. But actually, it helps also with collective code ownership. And this is the more important part about pull requests. I all of a sudden know what's going on. Even though I'm not commenting on the code, I can look at it, I can skim through it, I know what's going on in the code base. And I'm not actually this brilliant programmer, but I have brilliant programmer in my team. So every time I'm doing a pull request and get approved by some senior people that are really good, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. I think, oh yeah, great. I'm feeling good if you approve my code change. So if somebody senior says, great, good job, I'm feeling better. So, but the key is here also. We want to move fast. We want to move fast forward. And the key is that we have fast approvals. So the Stash team is a relatively small team of 8-9 developers. And they have this. They invite 4 people for a pull request. And then if 2 people approve the pull request, we are allowed to merge back. So we don't have to wait until a senior person has seen it, or until all 4 reviewers had time to see it. We said, okay, 2 approvals, great. We merge the changes back. So this is the key. You want to move fast. Okay, Atlassian. We are spread all over the world, and this works fine all over the world. But actually, we prefer co-located teams. So we have a team in Sydney, development team in Sydney, in San Francisco, and some in Gdansk. So we're working all over the world, but we love co-located teams because we think collaboration works better in a co-located team. Great. But actually, the truth is, this is not always possible. So people move, they move with their families, and we want to keep them because they are awesome developers. So we want to keep them as developers, as Atlassians. So the truth is, this is not always possible. We cannot do that always. So, and then something is coming on top of it. So where do you work best? Do you work best in the office, or in the coffee bar next door, or home on the couch at home? Well, the truth is, it depends where you work best. Sometimes it's great to collaborate, and so you work best actually in the office if you talk face to face to your colleagues. But sometimes you really want to skim through things and really want to nail it, so you go to the coffee bar next door to get concentration, to get something done. So how do we take all these things together? How do we communicate effectively through all these locations? Doing email. It's great. It's a great thing. It's a great thing to have emails because you can read them offline. You don't have to be online. That's good. You have one-to-many emails, so you can reach with one email. Can reach a lot of people. They work asynchronous, so you don't have to answer directly. Answer in the next hour. That's cool. And actually, you can add people. You can drag people into the conversation just by adding them or forward the email. That's awesome, isn't it? Oh, I'm just kidding. I mean, really. Come on, we know all email sucks. They are bad for conversations. They give you a lot of spam. They're often too long. People are really writing too much in emails, and they always need an action. I have to delete them. I have to put them somewhere. They always need an action. So email sucks. There's a lot of problems with emails, so forget emails. So what we do at Atlassian, we're trying to remove emails by using, for example, chat. Who's using chat at work? That's awesome. Great. Wow. Cool. So at Atlassian, we're doing this. We have a lot of chat rooms. For example, the Confluence developer chat room, where they talk about code changes. They talk about code, and actually also our continuous integration server talks to the chat room. So if a build fails, it also appears in the chat room. Then we have a design team chat room where our design team hangs out. They can share screenshots and mock-ups over this chat room and discuss about design. And then we have, for example, an enterprise discussion chat room where I can go in. If I met an enterprise customer, I can go in and ask some questions, and the experts are sitting there and giving me the answers. And then we have something like beer drinker chat room. I don't know what's going on there, but we have it, actually. And the cool thing about chat is you can just jump into the conversation that you need to kick ass. I mean, I'm going to the enterprise chat room, ask my question, and leave it again. That's cool. You can turn on and off the chat rooms you're going to listen to. So, and chat is great for remote conversations. So I can reach people in other cities very easily, just see who's online and reach them. And actually, it works also at Atlassian for local conversations, people in the same room. We start not talking to people, we start using chat because we don't want to disturb them if they are in the zone. We want to keep them in the zone. So we are also using it locally. And it's working great for different time zones. So if our team in Sydney just goes to bed and our team in San Francisco gets up, and they can look up what's happening in Sydney, what has happened in Sydney during the day, and jump into the conversation. So all the history is there, it's in the chat room. So this is pretty cool. And you can easily pull people into conversations. Even though they are not part of the chat room, you can just mention them, pull them into the chat room. Yeah, just mention them. So actually, as a kick-ass developers, we want to communicate fast. We want to get fast things done, and we want to have decisions fast. And you can reach that easily over chat. So another thing where we want to move fast. We want to move fast from getting from an idea we have for our software to the user story, or to the user stories. So what I did in my previous job is I went to my boss and said, oh, I have this brilliant idea. And he came up with, yeah, great, invite some people and do a meeting. Ooh, yeah, do a meeting. And actually, we did this a lot, and it was hard to find some free spot in people's schedule. So actually, I would say this is a meeting disease we had at this company. Really, for everything, we made a meeting. And if you have this, you should really consider doing something else. So the biggest time waster at work are meetings, and 1/2 of a meeting statistic are considered wasted. Oh, and we're spending so much time in there. So let's assume you had your meeting, you discussed all these things, and then where do you put the results? Yeah, in Word. Cool. Make a Word file, put it on your server, and work on with that. Share it via email. Tell people, here's the Word file. You can collaborate on that, change things, and they change things. The email, the Word file is sending around, and all of a sudden we have different versions on different servers, and we know all these problems we have with these kind of things. So what we do at Atlassian to come over this, here's what we do. So if we have an idea, we blog about it. So we write an internal blog post presenting our idea, and then we have this culture that we comment on things, and we have a lot of discussions around it. So after 48 hours from this one person idea, it moved into a whole company idea. So the whole company has taken part on collaborating on this idea. Then I'm writing a wiki page in Confluence and writing my user story in there, share it, of course, with the stakeholders, and then can change it directly there. And kabang, my idea has turned into user story in very, very short time with less friction, and it works remotely, and I just have one truth, and that's laying in my wiki. So this is awesome. But actually, be sure that you choose your tools wisely. Choose your tools wisely. So you have to also learn this. It's not an easy thing, how to use chat, for example. For example, I was pinged last week. I was writing an email, yeah, hey, let's make a hangout at 6 o'clock. Sounds awesome. So I sent the email, and I got an answer over chat saying, yeah, 6 works for me. I said, oh, that was the wrong tool. I should have used chat instead. I mean, it's way, way faster. So choose your tools wisely whenever they fit. Yeah. So here's what KickAss developers wants. KickAss developers wants to remove collaboration friction by having very, very, very simple workflows. This is it. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is KickAss Automation. So we're actually very, very good in helping people to be faster by automating their work. We're making people happy by automating their work. That's great. But actually, how much time do you spend a week to automate your software development? Just to be better at your software development, to kick ass in automation again. So who's doing continuous integration? And keep your hands up, please. Who's doing kick-ass continuous integration? Yeah, right. And that's also what we saw at Atlassian. I mean, our builds, they actually took too long. They were way too complicated. They were unstable, and they really missed the concept. In short terms, our build really sucked, really. So, but actually, what you want to do is you want to fail fast. If I'm working on task A and check in the code for task A, I want to know immediately if I broke something. So, and with our builds, for example, our Jira builds took 1.5 hours. So with our build system, it took off, and so it took my changes and put me in the queue, and I don't know, 2 hours later, I had the result that I broke the build. But I'm already working on task B or task C. I need to fail fast, and this is what we want to do. We want to fail fast. We want to know if we broke the build. So here are 4 things we learned at Atlassian, how we tame our monster builds, and we are still doing that. So we are still improving. We're still not really kicking ass with that, but we're trying to. So the first thing we learned the hard way is parsing the artifact is king. So if we build things, we put it into our Nexus, or you can use Add Factory for that. Put your artifact in there and grab it from there. It sounds very easy and very obvious, but we learned it the hard way. So when we parsed the artifact, we really improved our build time. We actually halved our build time by doing that. Another thing we did is we parallelized our tests. So why does tests have to run sequentially? So we parallelized our tests and put more hardware in it and run them on different servers, and every CI server can handle this nowadays. Jenkins, TeamCity, Bamboo, everybody is capable of parallelizing tests. So do that. And then what we do is we have a build strategy. So we came up with a build strategy. We said, okay, we cannot do all this test all in one run. So we have some loops we're running. Sorry. So the first thing is we're running an inner loop. So on every check-in, we're building the software. We're running some UI tests. We're running our unit tests. And we know when we made something up there. If we failed there, we fail fast. We know that. So, and then we are doing our platform test, running this thing on different platforms, and we do that every hour, less frequently. So we grab the last succeeded artifact, so last build artifact from stage 1, and take that and run our platform test with that. And then maybe at night we're doing some performance tests with our software. That takes a long, long time to run, and yeah. So we are running different loops. We want to fail fast on the inner loop, and on the outer loop it's okay if it takes a little bit. If we see that we failed the platform test, that's okay if it takes a little bit. But we run in different loops. So, and then look at your stats and be a data porn. I mean, really look at it, see how where your build sucked the most, and come up with some awesome ideas how they suck less. Like this, for example. And every CI server can show you a statistic like this, where you can just split the test, where you say here, this takes way too long, split the test, and you're happy again. And we're doing more automation awesomeness at Atlassian. This was just continuous integration. So we're doing something we call flaky test detectors, where the software finds out flaky tests that sometimes fail, sometimes they succeed, and put them in quarantine. So it puts them automatically in quarantine and assign an issue to it. So they are not run anymore. Sorry. They're not run anymore and in the next build. And then Wallboards. I was presenting that last year, and Wallboards are so awesome. So try to automate a lot of things and put that in the face of the developer. Try to use Wallboards and yeah, do that and show the result to your developers. Then we have something we call a Freud bot, that if we're doing a pull request, the Freud bot kicks in, looks automatically at the code, a static code analyzes, and adds comment to the pull request, like here, where he said, okay, you changed the dependency, the version of the dependency. Please check that it's also compatible to our license, to the license, if the license have changed. Yes? Sorry? Oh, yeah. Okay. The question was if we automatically build also our short-running branches. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, we do that, and we use our own tools for that. So we use Bamboo, and this detects automatically that we have made a new branch and runs and copies the build script over to the plan over to the new branch and runs that. Yeah. So back to the automation awesomeness. So life is really too short for boring tasks. So try to automate as much as you can. So think about constantly what can make your job easier, and try to run a side project by doing that. Like we did. You also need to have some fun. So we did this release button where we can, with a Raspberry Pi, signal to push our software to the cloud. So these are the 4 things I want to cover. Delivering kick-ass software, having one kick-ass team, kick-ass in collaboration, work together happily, and and kick-ass with automation, doing automation wherever you can. So, but these are just parts of the whole kick-ass software development puzzle. I mean, it's you know where you suck the most. So tackle these things and put that into the puzzle and be more awesome. So these are topics we think are very important if we want to kick ass. So dev speed is very important for us. The quality should be also important for you and for us. It's very important. We want to work together as a kick-ass team, so have one kick-ass team that understands each other, and we want to have kick-ass customers. We want that our customers kicks ass. So I asked the question in the beginning, do you think Agile is dead? And I said no. We just don't have to follow all this Scrum people who think you have to walk into this direction. This is the awesome thing. Look what's in your team, what's happening in your team. Don't follow a new leader, don't follow a new software craftsmanship or whatever. Look where you can kick ass and actually try the impossible. Be excellent wherever you can. Face your fears. All this stuff. And very important is you should share, at the end, you should share your successes and failures with the whole company, that they can learn from it too. If you've tried something, didn't work out, share this with the whole company and share also your successes, what worked, that it spreads all over your company. And important for that is also that you're not the only kick-ass software developer in your team. Building a culture, everybody should think about where can we be better in our software development? Where can we kick ass again in our software development? And don't hide behind your 24-inch screen and saying, "Oh, I don't want to get out and talk to the QA people." No, step out of your comfort zone and be more awesome, guys. Try to kick ass wherever you can. So now I almost stole you 50 minutes of your time. It is really time to kick ass for you. So go out, kick ass, and thank you very much. Tonight is the Atlassian bar, and I upload the slides, svenpet.com/slides. So thank you very much, and actually I want you to kick ass. Thanks and goodbye.